What's up, guys? Welcome to the Mad Men Pod, where we talk marketing strategies, ad campaigns, and business shit. We're on episode 16 now, and we got the whole crew back together. Samir is back from his baby moon. How was that, man?
Incredible. I want to go back to Cancun.
And Salim is doing another week with us. How's everything going, man?
I had the day off today. I took the day off. It's Indigenous Day. So the kids were off, the wife was off. I was like, yeah, let's go to a picnic, go hang out. So pretty chill day today.
Yeah. Well, fashion never sleeps, and we came into work, and it's busy season right now. So, but let's roll right into it, guys.
Men go mad.
He's gone mad.
Mad Men.
You're mad.
The man's mad.
Mad Men.
I'm mad.
All right, guys. So this is the portion where we talk duds and studs, and we discuss different marketing campaigns and tell you if we think it's a dud or stud. We're going to start with Captain Morgan. Captain Morgan is getting into the alcohol-free game, unveiling the Captain Morgan Spice Gold 0.0%. Captain Morgan is part of Diageo, who have successfully launched some alcohol-free products, but this is their first spirit to join the alcohol-free portfolio. We know a large portion of young drinkers are moderate with their alcohol consumption, and rum is making a comeback, and there are better and better alcohol-free options coming out onto the market for some of the same occasions. Is an alcohol-free spirit going to be the next big thing for Captain Morgan? Dud or stud? Let's hear it.
Look, I think this is a very interesting take. I don't know if you've seen the actual campaign or the ads, but it's starring internet sensation Nick Fraser. He was famous for like that "Why You Always Lying" video that went viral. And that guy's funny. They took advantage of that with that concept and said, "Hey, look, why are you always lying about drinking at parties?" So I think this is an interesting move by Captain Morgan. I think the kind of the core of who started this was Liquid Death, right? With the idea of, hey, let's make water look like beer. And with Captain Morgan coming out with an alcohol-free, I think more people are going to come out with it. Because, yeah, you're right. People are drinking less, and there's a lot of people that kind of want to fit in without not really making it look like awkward for other people. So I think this is a great take. I think Captain Morgan's doing the right thing. By realizing sensations and virality that already exists with these characters and taking a hit on it. So I think it's a good campaign. I think they're going to do really well. I think it's going to inspire other brands. You're going to start seeing alcohol-free vodka and alcohol-free tequila. It's coming, guys. I'm not ordering any, but it's coming.
What a crazy world we're living in now. I think it's super interesting. It's a good move, right? Captain Morgan it's getting into consideration set with an offering that I can see bars and restaurants, venues using to expand their mocktail offerings. I still feel like there's a little bit of a lag there. We're seeing a lot of non-alc rise in retailers, but there's still a ways to go of enhancing what mocktails restaurants and bars can do. So I think this is a step in that direction for sure to give bars something to work with. I have a bigger issue with how brands are approaching the non-alcoholic movement that we've been seeing. I think brands are assuming that the opportunity is with non-alcoholic drinkers, when I think in reality the opportunity is with non-alcoholic occasions. People who drink are choosing when to drink and when not to drink. I think when people started getting the wave of this non-alc movement, everyone was talking about how people are choosing to drink, not to drink, and I think brands haven't really connected to the occasions that are non-alcoholic. Instead, they're just been appealing to people who are refusing to drink alcohol in general or don't want to engage with alcohol. But that's such a really small pool to live off of. I think the bigger pool is among alcoholic drinkers, but they're choosing certain occasions and moments to not indulge in alcohol. So I think I would ask Captain Morgan, like, what are the occasions that this non-alc product is going to serve? And will it be incremental to your alcoholic variant? This sort of feels like a supposed to innovation, right? Like everyone else is doing it in the alcoholic space, so we should be doing it. I'm not saying this is like a dud thing, but I struggle to see how like this particular alcohol-free Captain Morgan can be incremental at a sustainable level. I think people are overestimating the non-alcoholic consumer. It's more about the moments. It's about the occasions.
I mean, I don't know how they would capitalize on their own drinks if they're not drinking at that part, right? I think this is also a society issue, right? Like, hey, this is all blamed on peer pressure and being in environments where alcohol is consumed and people don't want to drink or they want to swap at some point, right? And say, hey, look, I've had too many, but I don't want to tell people I have too many. So therefore, I'm going to have the bartender swap me for a zero, so it looks like it's still the same, right? That happens with beer. That happens with the non-alcoholic beers. Sometimes there's a market for people that are just still drinking but don't want to drink enough, right? But I guess, are you trying to say that they're capitalizing on their own business? Because I don't think it is. I think this is a brand new business that they probably don't have attention to. I mean, if you're in the beverage game, you should know. But
Yeah, I think unless they find what space they want non-alc to play, I think this is going to cannibalize some of it. I think there's an overestimation of how many people want to pretend to drink. I think that's kind of what we've talked about with liquid death, right? It's like, oh, you're holding something that makes it look like alcohol. I think people in this space are just too smart for that. I don't think that's the aspiration. People don't want to look like they're drinking. That doesn't seem like a sustainable model to go after. Like, you're not going to innovate so that people can pretend to drink. I think this has to serve an actual occasion or a moment or a need where a non-alcoholic a brand like this in a non-alcoholic space will have sustainable growth. So far, all of the hype is about pretending people want to drink and they want to pretend that they're drinking. That's not a sustainable business lane to have an innovation like this for. I need to see a more of a distinct purpose for non-alc, and I don't see it yet with Captain Morgan.
Do you guys? How's Heineken Zero doing then?
It's
good. Do we know that?
But it's like similar in that they're probably drinking regular beer, but by the end of the night, they don't want to feel crappy the next day, so they're winding down to zero by the end of the night.
So you're saying that that it's not actually people that want to fake drinking. I mean, in a sense, that is fake drinking, right? So even if they do replace the last quarter of their drinks for the night with zero alcohol ones, I mean, they're kind of faking it, right? They could just say, hey, I'm just doing water the rest of the night.
No, because I don't think that's faking it, though. I feel like that's you're choosing how you want to moderate your alcohol intake. That's being purposeful about it. If you're holding a mocktail at a bar, you want to look like you're drinking so that what this campaign is hitting at, people don't assume that you're not. And there's this stigma that comes at those social events that if you're not drinking, there's usually a purpose behind it. I don't think that's a sustainable sentiment for like an innovation. That's a moment. That's an advertising spot. That's what Captain Morgan is doing. But I don't think you can innovate in that.
I drink this one drink every single night. It's called Recess, right? And it's a drink that is magnesium based, has adaptogens, zero alcohol, has the right amount of flavor where you feel like, okay, this kind of just relaxes me and it feels good. It would be really interesting if Captain Morgan said, hey, we're going to create a drink like this while you're out. So it could be a liquid death type packaging, right? Or not that type of branding, but that it's already pre-made with these flavors and it's a brand you can trust. That's Captain Morgan, but it's a better for you type drink with the Captain Morgan label for alcohol. I would have loved to see that. When I see Heineken Zero, it still kind of makes sense. Like, a non-alcoholic beer is not a new thing. It's been out there, but non-alcoholic spirits has been tried before and it hasn't worked out. Monday raised a lot of money to go after the non-alcoholic spirits market for whiskey. Didn't get much traction, right? And I mean, now they're raising at an even smaller valuation. So I'm not so sure if spirits is the right angle, but if they did want to go after it with the branding of Captain Morgan, it would have been cool to see like Truly style cans that say Captain Morgan non-alcoholic with adaptogens. And, it is these like tropical drinks that are rum inspired drinks.
I think it's a new market for that deal. I do see a lot of people get the electrolytes that you're supposed to get for like, make you feel not so hungover over the night. Maybe there's a drink for that. You just get that drink made and it'll be the next best thing. I'm all in. But I do think there's a different market for mocktails versus cocktails. I think people do go to bars and lounges and restaurants for mocktails that are unique tasting, unique flavored. I think there's a market for that. I think that's a little bit different than what Captain Morgan is trying to do here. All right. Have you seen the season 2 premiere of Marvel series Loki yet?
It's on my list.
Nope.
No, I don't know if y'all know. I'm a huge Marvel fan. I watch every single thing, good, bad, or indifferent, but I do. I know all the stories and back. Well, episode 1 post-credit scene ends with Sylvie, who is supposed to be like the female version of Loki from a different multiverse, shows up at McDonald's. Now, the interesting thing here is that usually in the film industry, the way it works is most scenes are pre-written, and the partnership team goes out and finds the partnerships to fill the spots. If you remember Iron Man, Tony Stark eats that Whopper. He wants that burger. That was written after the movie. It was after the scene was already written. But in this case, it's actually different. McDonald's was actually written into the script because, according to the producer Kevin Wright, McDonald's represents normality for people, and that's the kind of story of the character now into the season 2, right? So McDonald's has taken the idea and truly ran with it. Not only have they embraced the idea of Loki's partnership with special in-store experiences, including a special sauce that enables exclusive content on Snapchat, but you could also buy, the ability to purchase special merchandising with the collab with Palace. But they've also taken a step further by focusing all of the shows that they've been featured on, including Seinfeld, Friends, The Office. I mean, there's like Fast and the Furious. There's so many more that have that. But they're using the idea of normality to focus on their core menu items, like chicken nuggets, quarter pounder cheese, and Big Macs, instead of a one-time limited product dropped. So I think it's a very unique take. So what do you guys think? Dud or stud move by McDonald's?
Generally speaking, I hate product placements in movies and shows. I'm going to see it from a marketer perspective, and I'm going to see it's being forced and super obvious. Like if you watch the recently canceled How I Met Your Father, you'll see Blue Moon garnish with an orange or tap handles with Coors Light and Miller Lite. The last season of Ted Lasso was filled with Apple products, and obviously that was like Apple's like gold mine right there. I don't like these types of product placements because it's just blatantly lazy. However, what McDonald's is doing with Loki, I think, is genius. It's a total stud. This partnership started from the script, and they found an organic way to integrate with McDonald's. Instead of the brand forcing its way onto the screen, Disney is using McDonald's brand story and its place in pop culture to emphasize the storyline that they've created. It's this idea of this neighborhood spot that everybody knows, a cultural touchstone, and it's immediately relatable. The story needed to portray that nostalgia from the 80s, and McDonald's is such an easy get for watchers to feel what the story is trying to make you feel. Then there's a takeover at McDonald's in Brooklyn where they made everything look like the 80s. They had these hidden clues and references to the show throughout the restaurant. And of course, the McDonald's meal and the curation of that and that as featured in platform. It's a powerful product placement with what they're doing here. It's extending beyond just that particular episode and show like we've seen in a lot of traditional product placements. It's connected to McDonald's brand legacy, and it's keeping the script intact. I think that's really important. Total stud.
So I may not understand the campaign as well, and so I'm going to ask you guys, could this be similar to like if friends, if they're meeting at a coffee shop, they're meeting at Starbucks and it's like part of the whole storyline? Or how is the placement? Because I haven't seen it per se.
Yeah, I don't want to. I think there's more placement coming through. So if you've seen the commercials, you see walking in, and the employee is one of the Loki's from Multiverse, right? So it's more about building that old time McDonald's feel and look, nostalgia of it, and just the normality of it. It's not like a product like, hey, just he goes to eat somewhere. He's hungry from doing all this multiverse stuff that he goes to go eat somewhere, and that's where he goes. He goes to McDonald's.
I mean, I guess I would have to see it. It's hard for me to say dud or stud, and to all the listeners, I guess I didn't do my homework properly on this, but really, product placement can be cringy. Now these studios will have to find creative ways to subsidize their rising costs that they have to pay writers. Just gonna be interesting ways to get these big corporations to get involved early on in the script and production process, and that's going to be a cool way to place it in, is if it's part of the script's fabric from the get-go, not just forced placement. So I'm excited about seeing it, and I'll give you guys my thoughts after I see it.
I think the one thing to take away from at least this campaign, right, it's McDonald's is like doubling down on all of it, right? You've got the placement. Loki's the most watched Disney Marvel series right now because it's the only thing on. But you went in, you got the placement, but now you've got these sauces that gives you this really unique experience on Snapchat. So they're using their partnership with Snapchat to extend that. Then they got the Palace collab. I guess there's so many things that they're just going to tackle on together to just get every volume and every piece of business they can with this. But I do like the idea that they've kind of just narrowed down on their core products and not worried about, oh, hey, here's a special sandwich that we dropped just for this party. It's just normal quarter pounder with cheese and burgers.
All right, I will take us into the next one. Some of you foodies out there may have heard of the Michelin Guide. It's that restaurant critic system that awards Michelin stars to the best of the best restaurants in the world. Well, Michelin is now launching Michelin Keys, a hotel rating system that will award keys to hotels that meets those high standards. Fun fact, for those who may not know this, but yes, Michelin Guide is from the same Michelin tire company. Back in 1900s, Michelin developed a series of these physical books and guides to convince people to drive long distances to amazing restaurants so Michelin could sell more tires. Clearly, they have come a long way as a tire company, but this, what I call an accidental brand that they have created in Michelin Guide, has some runway to become a bigger, credible rating system people do trust. Guys, do you think this rating system for hotels by Michelin is a dud or a stud?
I'm actually going to Mexico City next week. We're going to be hitting up Pujol, Quintanal. I think Maximo is going to be the next big restaurant that gets a Michelin star. There's been some buzz about that, but I'm hitting up all three of those restaurants. I would not be going out of my way to those restaurants if they just had 5 stars on Yelp. Like, it's a totally different game when it has a Michelin star. There's over 5,000 hotels that they've already selected, and they've been working on it for 4 years. And I think they understand the weight of what Michelin rating means. And they're trying to carry that for hotels the right way. So this will get implemented next year, but I can't wait. I think this is really going to be a new way that people kind of talk about, oh, I got to stay at a Michelin star hotel, right? I am just now talking about the Michelin star restaurants we're going to. I think anyone would talk about a hotel they stay at that's Michelin rated.
I agree with the deal, right? I think this is game changing for a lot of reasons, right? One is that there isn't a really uniform version of a hotel rating. There's Forbes has their stars, and then AAA has their stars, but nothing consistent across the globe, right? And Michelin has done that with restaurants. Even if you look at restaurants, there's nothing out there that is really there's Michelin stars and the world's best restaurants. I think those are the top 2 that people even go to. In the US, you got James Beard, but that's not international. So, and I've been to a couple of Michelin stars. It's a different experience, right? That's, if you go to the app, that's how I find restaurants in most cities now, is that I go to the Michelin Guides app and say, hey, look, what are these restaurants which have stars, which don't have stars, which have the ratings or reviews? But I think this is going to really be enticing because now you have the credibility of Michelin on those hotels, that they're going to get these self-promotions from people that are saying, hey, look, I stayed at this Michelin, 3-key hotel. It also helps the hotel industry, right? Now they have credibilities and standards that they have to meet that are pretty, refined compared to the restaurants, right? I don't know if you've seen some of those movies about Michelin guys coming in. There's a few movies on Netflix that I've seen that they talk about the whole experience of, hey, what happens when a Michelin guy comes in, and they figured it out. It's going to be that same way at hotels. So I think this is going to be game changing. So good job, Michelin.
You know what's interesting too is that Michelin on their platform, they don't allow advertising for better placement on those rated restaurants, and they're not going to allow it for these hotels either. So that's kind of a little bit of a frustrating, inauthentic way of scrolling Kayak or Expedia or whatever. You see a lot of sponsored posts, even Airbnb now. Like, you're trying to find a house, you're seeing a bunch of sponsored posts before you really find the good deals. This is going to be all about, hey, this restaurant and hotel has done a great job, and we want to share it with you, which is always so beautiful.
I keep coming back to the thought of Michelin Tires being the one who runs this. What is Michelin Tires getting out of this? Building more on top of this brand, having these extensions of rating systems. This might just be me not understanding more about what Michelin Tires really does as a business. We know why it started, because they wanted people to drive more and have a reason to drive more, and it used to be about food. That's not the case anymore. So what is Michelin Tires getting out of this?
Isn't it to elevate their brand? I mean, I go get tires, and I automatically think Michelin is the creme de la creme. And the fact that they've created this rating system, what other company can do something like this? We're flying to Mexico City. We're not driving. We're not taking tires, certain tires to go down there. But it definitely was in the early 1900s when this whole thing came out, where you did drive to every restaurant, and that guide made sense. But the fact that they've maintained it, it does probably elevate their brand, and that's probably why they continue to do it.
I think it's become its own thing, right? I think it at one time was Michelin. I just looked up. The same thing popped in my head, Samir, was how does Michelin make money out of this thing, right? And what I found out was, I think they're two separate businesses now, right? I think Michelin Tires is its own business, and Michelin Guide has become its own, but they're generating revenue through events. And like you have to get licensed to use the Michelin Star name and the Michelin Star itself. So once you're there, you've got to use it. They've got the digital platforms that drives traffic. They've got different events. They've got brand endorsements and collaborations. They've got training and consultings for people that would like to become Michelin stars or Michelin chefs. They've got Michelin schools now. So they've got other different business. I think it's become its own business on its own by accident, right? I don't think that was the idea, but I think they've split itself to where it's got its own thing. So I think they've got multiple ways of generating revenue on its own, and I think this is just another version for them to generate more revenue.
Well, it's still under the Michelin group. So yes, it's not like the same person that's doing the tires is also doing this stuff, but everything still has their little ghost looking whatever guy on everything. It's definitely still part of it. They may be different divisions now, but it's still part of the Michelin company.
Something I would have expected them to sell off to someone else to take this. Like, there's clearly value into this Michelin Guide brand, but it's just something that's always been on my mind. Really interesting to hear about, like, more around their operation and like how exactly this serves their business needs. But interesting though to hear Michelin Keys, guys. Keep a watch out for your next trip. I will take us into our first brand to watch. I am highlighting a brand that began right here in Dallas. Started as a home kitchen experiment in trying to make apple cider vinegar taste better. And now they are taking on Coke and Pepsi in the soda world. We are talking Poppi, a prebiotic soda brand. It's only 3 years old, and it's already the top selling soda on Amazon, and it's available in more than 20,000 retail stores. And it's all about gut health. Made it on Shark Tank, got a deal with Rohan Oza, who's a Hall of Fame in beverage. Poppi is all social first. They have a really great following, a lot of loyal fans. It's incremental to the soda category. So it's getting retailers excited and invested. And, it is so damn difficult to build a beverage brand because these big dogs have so much power and so much influence. But Poppi is doing something really special here. It's interesting to see what Coke and Pepsi do in the innovation space to try to draw more incremental sales for their category. And it tends to be around flavor. What Coke is doing with Coke Creations, it's all of a kind of cultural flavored Coke products. Think star flavored Coke or pixel flavored Coke. And then you see this brand just come out of nowhere and have such a strong and loyal following, actually having a unique enough product to actually drive incremental traffic to the soda aisle. And that we haven't seen in a very, very long time with the decline in people buying sugary beverages. So I'm highlighting it because I think they're doing something really unique and different and disruptive in a category that really struggles with new things like this. And I think there might be building something that's actually sustainable here. So Poppi, something to watch.
I love their artwork on their packaging and everything. It's so in your face. Like, so if it's a strawberry lemon, it'll have a yellow strawberry. It's bold, it's clear, and they all say for a healthy gut. I think they're definitely doing a great job. What's just unfortunate, it happens every time, is at some point Coca-Cola or Pepsi are going to buy them out, and this is just going to be one of many again. And that's really the main entry into to beverage. That, hey, how do I get acquired? That's always the goal. And you create a disruptive beverage product. No one really, I think, other than Liquid Death, no one's really said, hey, I just want to be my own. I know Jake Paul, he's would love to sell the Gatorade eventually. It's going to happen. I mean, it's just a matter of time. But this is just the unfortunate thing, because once you get to certain level of a certain level of volume, you do need help with distribution, everything. But then they go back on all the brand promises. And so you guys remember Naked Juice? They were completely different. They were not shelf stable. They did have an expiration date. They were being delivered fresh every single week, and then Pepsi bought them, and now they're apparently fresh juice for 6 months at a time.
No, I do love this product. So I've got to try this out. But just the marketing of it, just the brand, the color, the storytelling that they've gotten involved in it, and just a different type of people that are in there. They're using real people from real videos. That just strategy is just phenomenal. And this creator first, e-commerce first, people first campaign is definitely something to watch. And I think they're doing really cool. The problem is, I think, Adil, you said it right on the nail, right? I think the idea here is that distribution costs get so high, right? You look at these and I'll go try it once, but $2, $2.50 a can, that's expensive. So that's their challenge, right? And they have to bring it down, right? To be competitive to Coke, they've got to get into that dollar range. And it's going to be hard without the distribution channels like Coke and Pepsi have. I'll take us to the next one, next brand to watch. But I don't know if you guys heard, last week, Epic Games, makers of the Fortnite game, announced it's selling it off Bandcamp, which it had just acquired 18 months ago, to Songtradr. For those that don't know, Bandcamp is a premier direct-to-consumer marketplace for artists to sell music and merchandising to their fans. This direct-to-consumer business is fueled by what Goldman Sachs labels superfans, which are fans that are willing to spend double what regular fans do to support artists. This has an addressable market of $4.2 billion that has yet to be fully addressed. And Songtradr, who's a leader in the B2B licensing space in music, in their press release, said that they would allow Bandcamp artists the ability to now have their choice to have their music licensed to all forms of media, including content creators, games, brands, and app developers. Songtradr was already a beast in the B2B space, but now have become a significant player in the B2C place. Well, this is why Songtradr is my brand to watch. What do you guys think?
I'm really excited about this. My staff always runs into this issue. This may not be exactly about Bandcamp or anything, but you did say something about licensing music for creators. So whenever we're putting something on TikTok or Instagram and we can't use a trending sound because we're a commercial account, right? So if we're a business account, we can't use those commercial sounds. I would pay for it every single time if there was just a little button that said, pay $5 to license for commercial use, right? It's an 8-second video. It's a 10, maybe even $20, like whatever it is. But small businesses would pay that every time to get a trending sound. Maybe Songtradr is going to be the one that figures this out, is how you can make sure that there's they work with TikTok or Instagram to make sure these artists get paid, even by commercial applications. Let's face it, not every small business will ever be able to use some of these sounds, but all these artists really care about is everyone hearing their music, and not it. We're just done with the days of an artist hitting it out of the park and getting Apple to use their music. Now everyone wants to use their music, and it should be democratized. So it's just a matter of time that someone's going to figure that out, is how these corporate accounts can take advantage of these trending sounds with just one click a button, and you pay a little bit of a licensing fee.
So Songtradr already has a relationship with TikTok. They actually do a lot of the TikTok sounds you see today. So I think this might be that revenue path.
I think this is super cool. I think anything around monetization in the content creator space is going to make a really big impact. I feel like we're seeing a lot of content creators wanting to get into the game. They might have a unique offering or something they want to bring to the table, but the monetization side of it is always the big question mark. So I think any movement in that space, I think is always a good thing. So really cool thing to watch.
I don't have a brand to watch this week, but I did want to talk about two things that we talked about in previous episodes. So I think it was a couple weeks ago, but the Las Vegas Sphere finally opened. U2 had a sold out performance. There were celebrities from Jeff Bezos to LeBron James. Everyone was there. And this 18,600 seat facility just got everyone's attention for a few days. It was something everyone was talking about. Even though I had been seeing it built for many years, it felt like, now I'm actually excited to find a way to go. And I wasn't as excited until I saw some of these images. These images are so striking. It's insane what they've been able to build. But what's been cool is something we talked about in, I think, episode 3 or 4 when we did talk about this, was how they're going to figure out how to monetize doing ads on this. And they did release some of the pricing. So they're going to, for 1 day of advertising on the Sphere, it's going to be $450,000. And then for 1 week, it's $650,000. And so it makes you think that if you have the right conference in town, maybe it's a tech conference or what's the Consumer Electronics Show, that would be a really good place to have some kind of advertising. It's just a no-brainer there. And, it does go on for a few days. Go ahead and pay the week, and, you can get some really good exposure doing it that way. But you do get a 300-person team to help you come up with digital for it, or all the creative for it. So that was really neat to see. But I think this, more and more I think about it, MSG kicked it out of the park. This was really, really nicely done. So what do you guys think about that?
The other thing is F1 is right there. There's seating that's actually right by the Sphere. So I think that's going to be another great opportunity for them to advertise on that. I wonder what it compared to like Times Square, because Times Square can't be cheap either, right? Times Square's advertising's got to be in the 6 figures as well. So I don't think this might be that far off from pricing. But yeah, I think it's.
You just don't have as much foot traffic as Times Square.
But they've made up for it, right? Like they've got their own channel, they've got their own social media assets.
I would agree. I think that it's the extendability of the creative on social, right? None of us were there to see this U2 concert, but we all saw what was happening, and I don't think that happens as often as we think for Times Square. So I think, and it might just be because it's the new flashy toy. It might not be a sustainable amount of extension on social, but the more creative people can be with it, the more brands want to do with it, the people are going to want to share.
Yeah, it's going to take a while to $2.3 billion it took to build that thing. So it'll take some real advertising dollars to get to pay for this. But look, there are some big programs out there that are trying to have their events there now. UFC, Dana White came out and said that he would love to have something there. And what he mainly talked about was, look, venue aside and how the seating works is definitely different than anything else. But he said the food at other venues is total garbage. That you pay $400, $500, $600 to go see a UFC event, and you're eating nachos. And he said it's such bullcrap that his guests have to eat like that, and no one ever does it, and no one ever questions it. They just keep the same concession food. Apparently, the Las Vegas Sphere is doing like really nice chef prepared meals, and it's just done the right way. So I'm really excited to see, all in all, how all of this plays out. I do agree, Samir, this may just be the fancy shiny toy, and they may go to nachos and hot dogs pretty soon here. Our other brand to watch that we talked about a few weeks back was RFK Jr. So some news, if you guys haven't seen, is that he's no longer going to run as a Democrat. He's going to run as an independent. This does beg the question for his personal brand. The exposure he was getting was for disruption purposes. There's an obvious frustration for a lot of Democrats in Joe Biden, but there's also the reason why he was a brand to watch for me at that time was because he was that disruptive brand coming through. So let's see what happens here, but this will really see how these brands to watch in terms of politicians, how they all shape up. Now we see like Vivek Ramaswamy coming through as a brand, and so they're all starting to build their own followings in their own way. And I always say tribalism is alive and well, and if you can find a candidate, I wouldn't be surprised if it does sway some elections. These guys are corporate. They're not going to talk politics. I get it.
I can talk it. Look, I think this is the problem in this scenario is very much about the Democratic Party. Right now, it's like you took this, let's call it 3-5% that he was driving away from the Democratic Party. Now you really got more heat on it, right? Like let's see, he goes in debate, he would have lost, then people would have still voted Democratic. Now they want to vote for him. He doesn't have enough following to go independent.
All right, guys. Well, with that being said, we'll call it a wrap. Great job overall, guys. Great takes. I got to go see this Loki commercial or this application product placement.
and then go buy some
Y'all stay
McDonald's.
fabulous.
Ciao.
The
Men go mad.
He's gone mad.
Mad Men.
You're mad.
The man's mad.
Mad Men.
I'm mad.